Welcome to the WIHS Journal. On today's broadcast, we'll be talking to veterinarian Carol Osborne. Today she'll be sharing some great safety tips for our animals. Stay tuned for all the details. So thank you for being with us on the Journal today, Carol. So tell us maybe just a little bit of a background on how you became a veterinarian.
Well, I've been a vet for several years and located in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, about 30 minutes east of Cleveland. And all your pet-loving listeners can find us online at www.drcarol.com. All kinds of great information about dogs and cats and health care and integrative medicine and natural remedies, etc.
You're being kind of humble because I know you have been in some major platforms, talking about animals. So for our listeners, maybe just talk about some of the platforms that you had spoke on.
I've talked for ABC and NBC on both coasts, Fox After Breakfast, Fox and Friends, different television venues, and a little bit of radio, and all kinds of journals, and USA Today, and pet magazines, and things like that.
Great. So what is the biggest problem that you see on a daily basis that, it's like continuous, that people have problems with their pets? What would you say is the biggest one?
Well, I think one of the big things in the wintertime, because I don't know if it's as cold in Ohio as it is in Connecticut, I think sometimes when it comes to dogs, pet owners don't realize that how sensitive a dog's feet and foot pads are. They get cracked, they bleed, they rip and they tear because the salt and all the de-icing chemicals are very caustic and irritating to their feet. So I think it's important to check your pet's feet. They make all kinds of great little booties and shoes that people can look into online and elsewhere. And if nothing else, or you find that your pet's even just reluctant to walk out the door, you can take a little plastic bottle and fill it half with water and half with rubbing alcohol and just spritz your pet's feet off when he or she comes inside to get all those chemicals and whatnot, off of their foot pads. They also make some different salves and whatnot that you can rub onto the foot pads if your pet just absolutely won't wear a pair of booties, that help to protect them from extremes of cold as well as extremes of heat.
I love those little coats. I don't think my dog would wear booties, but we might just give him a try this year. One other question I think is important is nutrition. Do you give your clients recommendations on some of the best foods?
We do, and we always, I tell my patients to just look at those four legs right in front of you, because the skin and hair coat being the biggest single organ in the whole body, I think is an external reflection of internal health. So it should be shiny, it should glisten, it shouldn't be dull and dry and flaky, and you shouldn't be vacuuming your carpet from all that hair all the time. So that's one easy thing to check. And when it comes to food, especially in the winter, pets need a few extra calories so that they can make energy to keep themselves warm. So in today's world, most pets are living inside, many of them in our bedrooms. But for those that might be spending a bit more time outside, if you haven't found a diet that you love, you can make your own meals. That way you can kind of ensure that your pet's getting the nutrients they need without the risk of indigestion or excess weight gain with all the processed foods out there. You can make equal portions of a lean protein, chicken, turkey, beef, for example. Pick a carbohydrate, pasta, oatmeal, or potatoes might be a choice. And then find a vegetable that sounds good. I always put the cruciferous on top, broccoli, green beans, spinach, etc. Warm it up, throw in a little extra virgin olive oil. It improves the smell as well as the taste. So that's easy enough to do, and most pets love it.
That's great. You got some really good recipes there for your animals. So I'm going to switch gears for our cat lovers out there. What would you find is the biggest problem in the feline?
I think before you start your car or your truck, knock on the hood and honk your horn, because we have a lot of feral cats in today's world. A lot of them snuggle right up in that engine to stay warm. So give it a couple of taps, blow the horn, and that way before you start your car, if there's a kitty in there, they'll jump out before you start your motor. That's the biggest single tip that I can share for kitties. Things like antifreeze, which leaks out from radiators, etc., that smells good and is tasty to your dog, is not usually very appealing to cats. And the baits that you put out for rats and mice and things like that, peanut butter paste, so very attractive to your dog, but cats don't really go for that. They're a little more persnickety when it comes to things like that. And if you think your pet did get into a bait, save the label, call your vet, pronto. Most pets will recover just fine, but you do need to get them to the vet so that they get treated with vitamin K. When it comes to antifreeze, if there's a spill or a leak, it only takes a teaspoon. That would be fatal for a 10 to 20 pound animal. So clean up your spills, keep it, in a secure locked cabinet. If you think your pet might have consumed antifreeze, all it takes is a lick or two. That is an absolutely true life and death emergency. So jump in the car and, call your vet while you're on the way. And there is a kind of antifreeze called Sierra, Sierra. It works just as well in your car. It's still toxic, but it's just a tiny bit less deadly than the standard types of antifreeze out there. So that's always a thought when you're filling up your car.
Well, thank you so much for that great advice. One other question is for dogs that are smaller that have had spinal injuries and they don't have surgery. What kind of recommendations can you give for a listener about that?
That's not an uncommon situation, especially in the little long back dogs like the Doxies, etc. There are, first of all, always talk to your veterinarian. There are all kinds of natural supplements, glucosamine, MSM, hyaluronic acid combinations. We have a couple of wonderful supplements for which no prescription is needed, right at drcarol.com. People are welcome to look at. There are also a handful of these non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, kind of similar to what aspirin or Tylenol would be to a person, but please don't give that to your pet because it's going to make them sick. And those are things, again, to discuss with your veterinarian. But most of those animals can have a wonderful long life, and between the traditional medications and the therapeutic alternatives that are available, you have to roll up your sleeves a little bit, and it's going to take a little more time and cost a couple of pennies more, but they can enjoy a long, full life.
Thank you so much. Any details that I missed out that you would like to share with our listeners?
We welcome pet-loving listeners' phone calls from coast to coast. You can give our office a call toll-free at any time. The toll-free phone is 1-866-Dr. which is 372-2765. And on our blog, I have several hundred articles that I've written addressing a wide variety of aspects for dog and cat health and nutrition and anti-aging tips, etc., that everybody is welcome to take a look at and read.
One more time, just recap that website for our listeners.
Our website is www.drcarol.com.
Once again, that was veterinarian Dr. Carol Osborne. She has appeared several times on Fox and Friends, The Today Show, Good Day LA, Discovery's Animal Planet. She's also been featured in the USA Today, the LA Times, Ladies' Home Journal, Woman's World, InStyle, and the New York Daily News, among several pet magazines. If you would like more details about today's broadcast, you can call WIHS at 860-346-1049. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of the staff and management of the station. I'm Anissa Porticelli for News and Public Affairs.